Yo, yo, yo.
What's up,
What is?
everybody?
How you doing tonight? How you doing?
Hello.
Uh,
Hello.
hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the show. How you
Community.
doing, Monica?
I'm doing okay,
Happy
just
Friday. Get off
existing,
work.
just existing. I had a conversation with an architect the other day who is rapidly becoming my favorite architect ever. Uh, he he called me up because this project that we are working on together, these people are just they're constantly making changes. The designers are out of Japan. And let's just say there's a lot of crap that got lost in translation. And he's the middleman between them and us, the builders. And they made yet another change. And he called me up to talk about it. And when I answered the phone, he goes, "Hey, it's Robert. How are you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm good." Because I'm always positive. I want to drag people down with my bullshit.
Right.
And he goes, "Oh, yeah. Okay, well, that's good, I guess." I said, "Well, how are you?" And he goes, I'm not doing well. He goes, "I'm not doing well at all right now." This is like the
Mhm.
18th revision on these plans, right? And I
Right.
was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I understand. It's a shit show." And he goes, "Are you really okay with all of this?" And I said, "Hell no. It's a shit show. I'm just being nice." He said, "Oh, oh, good. That makes me feel better."
Right. Do you want my opinion or what
Listen,
I'm
I'm just
gonna
blowing
say?
smoke up your ass, dude. I'm trying to be nice.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Man, looking at my image, like, dude, I need to shave. It's been like probably like a month and a half or something.
Mm.
It's
I am
getting
wearing my finest muumuu tonight with my favorite.
nice.
Yeah, I figure I'm in my 50s. It's time for the muumuus to happen. They're comfortable as
Awesome.
shit, man. It's like wearing a potato sack, but it's softer.
Yeah, yeah. Burlap sack with, but
Yeah, it's
fine,
shapeless.
fine threads.
There's nothing clinging to me. When I was young, I loved tight clothes. Look good in tight clothes. Like when you're young, you do typically.
Yeah, I
Uh,
didn't, but yeah. Okay.
I don't care for them any longer. I don't. I don't look good in them also, but I can't stand binding crap. It just drives me up the wall.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Like as I'm getting older, because you know me, I rock my freaking jinkos and big baggy shirts and shit like that. And as soon as this summer hit, for some reason, like, it was after one of the first big rains, and it was like
Nice and
humid.
steamy.
Dude, yeah, I like stepped outside it, and I was like,
Feel like
this
a
is almost,
broccoli in a steamer, man.
yeah, I was like, this is almost too much clothing. Like, but I can't
See, I
back
see
down.
all the cute girls that can wear like the little shorts and the little tank tops, and I'm like, I know they're hot, but they're probably a lot more comfortable than I am.
Right,
I have to
right,
drape everything. Like I got to conceal
right. Me too. Yeah.
bulges. Things
Yeah,
like
like if I kind of envy the tweakers that wear cargo shorts and a tank top. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I bet that feels great, but
Yeah, that's what
no.
I think too. I was like, oh, I took for granted the years I could do that.
Yeah, yeah,
It's costly
ditto.
surgery to look like that again. I just don't know if I have it in me. Probably hurts
We'll
a
see.
lot too.
We'll see. Like whenever, because that was always my style: was big baggy clothes, jinkos, Chuck Taylors, and
Okay.
then when all that faded out and it was no longer available, I reverted back to um uh what do you call it? What's the name of the color? Khaki, right? That's the brown, right?
Yeah,
Right,
the
yeah.
light brown, like
So
sandy color.
khaki dickies with a white tee with khaki dicky overshirt. Like,
Okay.
so I don't know. I've always dressed very covered, and but I never really realized how hot it was.
Right. Well, I mean, where I
you know,
grew up, I wore tight clothes, but I was never like, I never well, in the 80s, you know, and early 90s, well, maybe in the 90s, it was more to like have your stomach showing and stuff, you know,
Yeah,
propped
yeah,
up
yeah.
and on display. In the
Crop
80s,
top.
there wasn't a lot of that. There wasn't a ton of that. Like,
Yeah.
you were pretty, by today's standards, pretty modest.
Yeah, you're very covered. I mean, now we're like wearing leg warmers and shit.
Yeah. And I remember, like, even like in my 20s, like thinking, I don't want to show everything. And I'll tell you what, like, you get attention from guys with a lot of stuff on display if you're wearing like low cut tops, or you'll get attention from guys, sure, but you'll get better attention if you keep a lot of it covered. Like, you show your curves, but
Right,
don't
yeah.
show everything. Like, show your figure, but you don't have to like have them all up here and popping out of the top. Like, keep it covered, man. Like, guys are intrigued, and trust me, you'll get more quality attention by doing that.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a weird one for me because as a dude, I don't see it. But so like the other day, Jen was wearing kind of like white t-shirt with like tight overall, but like shorts overalls. If you know what I mean, like they're and like little white tennis shoes, and I'm like, you kind of look like a fucking hillbilly, you know. But all the fucking everyone she met like that fucking day was like, oh my god, girl, I love your freaking outfit, and I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'm just too big of a 12-year-old mind. I'm like,
new favorite Moo on. I just got this, and it's the first one I've ever bought, by the way. It's not like I have a closet full of them. This is my first and only
first Moo buy
it's
ever.
my first Moo, but it's cute, and I'm sure people who are watching the show give a shit, but like, it's cute, and it's loose and baggy, but when you walk, it kind of shows your figure when you're walking.
Right, yeah.
Well, my husband was like, oh, I like that. So
yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, because it's like when the draft hits when you're walking, it wraps around. See, I'm actually wearing this would be like the closest to a movement I got. This is mine. Tales from the Crypt, because he's literally a crypt. But my brother Jake bought this for me the Christmas before he passed. But it's like almost freaking, I don't know, almost silkish, very light. Like, it's it's very, very comfortable. So I dig where you're coming from.
Yeah, you're not that much younger than me, are you? You're just like,
no, I'm like
4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. What year were you born?
I'm 78.
Okay, so you're 5 years younger than me.
Yeah. Which used to be a lot. Like, if we were in high school or something, or you'd be the older chick, but now you're equal.
I dated a younger guy once in high school. That was weird.
Oh, dude.
He became very weirdly obsessed with me. It was, okay, Junior, move on. I'm not your mom.
When I was in my 30s, I went through like a spell where I wouldn't date any chick under 21 because you have to go to a bar. You have to be able to go to a bar or a strip club with me. But like every chick I dated, like, had serious relationships, was like 21, 22, 23, like whole 9 yards, like just those 3 years. Jen was one of them. And she was 22 when I met her.
And how old were you old pervert?
I was, so she was 22, I was 31.
Oh, that's not horrible. It's not like you're 63 dating a 20-year-old, you know what I mean?
Right. But like, it just got fucking old. Like, I was like, dude, because after consistencies of different chicks, I'm like, oh yeah, like, I'm the Godfather. And they're like, what's the Godfather? And I'm like, now I gotta spend 9 hours showing you what the fuck. Are you serious? You don't know what you never watched DuckTales? Or what?
No, I can't. Yeah, like, okay, well, I mean, I haven't been single in a while, but if I suddenly found myself single, just the thought of dating somebody younger than me is repulsive.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is. It is. It's just nothing against young. I mean, it's not anything other than what's in my own head. I feel like a child molester if they're like, because I'm 52, right? If I was dating a dude that was like 35, I'd be like, oh, ugh.
right, right. Well, I mean, I don't, because mentally, you know me, I'm freaking immature as shit, so I still feel like a kid, even though I know I'm old. But so to me, it's not that factor, but it's like teaching the, especially media, music, movies. It's just
You're
exhausting.
just not on the same level in a
Yeah,
lot of ways. In a lot of ways, especially, even though you were just 31, there's a big like emotional and
gap.
maturity
Yeah,
gap between a 31-year-old and a 21-year-old.
yeah,
You've got way
yeah.
more life experience. They're still like, let's go to the club. Do shots off my
Right.
stomach.
Oh my god. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's like if you never seen Die Hard, we got problems.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that conversation went sideways.
Yeah, it did.
Um,
You're bagging
but
on
that's
younger.
how we.
Nothing against younger people. It's just we're old.
No. We're old. That's all there is to it. So, but that's how we do it on the speakeasy. We go anywhere and everywhere. So this one actually does, if y'all haven't noticed from the awesome graphics that Monica made me, that were put on the preview, we're gonna get into an actual topic, and that's Dante's Inferno, which is preface. Let me say it's an awesome book. It's not a very long read at all. Like,
It's a poem.
yeah, it's basically, it's a poem.
Mm-hmm.
But like, say you only read on the shitter, you can get that thing done in about 3 days.
Okay.
Literally. But it is
Man
very,
time on the pooper or woman's time? Because my husband will be in there for, I'm not kidding you, like 45 minutes.
no, man time.
I was like, how do your legs not go numb, dude? Like, what the? I mean, I go in there and like do my business and get the hell out. He's in there like, I don't know, paying bills, checking up on the mail.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yep. No, we get the red stripes on the top of the thighs from leaning over and
It's like, do your
phoning
feet
it.
go
Yeah.
numb from the lack of blood flow?
Oh yeah, they do. Especially if we don't take our blood pressure meds. But so, okay, the thing about Dante's Inferno, one of the things that first intrigued me about it is when I first got my copy of it. It was partitioned, so like one page was written in Latin, and the other page was written in English.
Sweet.
And when I was getting into middle school, high school, they just started phasing Latin out of the curriculum. So it made me want to like listen, learn Latin. And I tried, and
it was never offered for us. And I have been trying for a long time to learn Latin. You know what I was offered? Gaelic. Gaelic was an option.
Gaelic. Yeah.
Latin wasn't. Gaelic was, but Latin wasn't.
That's very. Excuse me. My throat's all messed up. So I'm gonna smoke a cigarette. No, for me it was when they got down to just Spanish and French. I think those were, you had to pick one or the other.
Right.
And and I picked Spanish. And
yeah, we had German, Spanish, and French, and of course I went the German route because my family's German. And it was pretty easy for me back in the day when I was learning it. When I got into college is where Gaelic came into play. is an option. And I always
Gotcha.
thought that was fascinating, but I know Latin.
Yeah, no. Like my mom and uncles and hell, even my older cousin, he's only like 3 years older than me. They all took Latin. And they're
Oh, that's sweet. Like, okay, so anybody who's
yeah, and they're
listening,
like,
if you know where I could take a Latin course, that would be much appreciated. Just throw it at me, like an actual one that I can use. So, and my sister-in-law like minored in Latin. Of course, she lives in the Northeast. I think she went to college out in Boston somewhere. I don't think she went to Boston College. I can't remember where she went. But yeah, she was med, so she had Latin. Wasn't an option for old Monica, or at least I didn't see
well,
it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, to me, it's cool because it's a dead language. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's one of those. Remember the scene from Tombstone where they do the Latin off, between Doc Holliday and.
Well, Doc Holliday was he was medically trained. He was a dentist, so he would have had to have known Latin.
Right. But I mean, to me, it's just like it's a cool thing to have that extra. I wouldn't call it intelligence, but knowledge about something. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like unneeded knowledge.
Yeah.
Like who are you going to run across that's like
around in there? It's useless, but it's good to have on occasion. A lot of the antique books, right? That. Right. I hope you acquire the antique books that I love. They're written in Latin. I need to know, but old Latin. Like there's different Latins too. I think a lot of people don't understand. Latin isn't just Latin. There's Old English and current English. There's Old Latin, and I wouldn't say more current Latin, but there's Old Latin and then Latin.
Right. Ancient Latin and Latin. Yeah. But so anyway, I digress. So that intrigued me first and foremost about the book. Then whenever I learned that, okay, so between Dante's Inferno and Paradise Lost, those are like two of, Dante's Inferno was, of course, first. But those are the two like that really shape our ideology of what hell is. Right. Mm-hmm. Because before that, you didn't have much horned devil and pitchfork tail and
I don't think that you had the torture necessarily. Now, like the depictions of the devil with horns and the demons with the wings and the horns, a lot of that, well, really all of it, started becoming more widely spread during the Crusades when they were invading the Middle East and they had their pantheons and their belief systems that they were trying to, have Christianity overcome, and they were vilifying their little, icons in order for the masses to more, I don't know, easily, turn over to Christianity, right? If you vilify the deities in the new religion,
fear mongering is a big part of that. I believe personally, and I'm not saying that like you shouldn't be scared of hell because I think you really should be, but that's where we get our vision of it is by those particular influences.
Sure.
Just like Faust and all those.
Yeah. Now, I would say that it was very interesting. So, that I love the movie Prophecy, The Prophecy with about the war in heaven. Yeah, with Christopher Walken. So Viggo Mortensen plays Lucifer, and I think he's one of the best not the best, he's one of the top 3 Lucifers ever in film, because he looks like Lucifer, right? He's very good looking, very charismatic, and it really stuck with me what he, and of course this is just a movie script, but it stuck with me what he said when he was telling them about hell, And he said, hell isn't lakes of fire and burning chains. It's being shunned from the light of God.
The light of God.
It's God not favoring you, and you no longer have the warmth and light of his love and presence in your life.
Yeah, you're absent from the light and in the
Yeah.
darkness. Yeah. And when I was a kid, like whenever I first heard that concept, it was very intriguing because it's, you know, like how much torture do you actually need just to be shunned from paradise? You know what I mean? Like to be shown a vision and then to be cast away from it. It'd be like someone, if you were a kid, someone taking you into like Chuck E. Cheese and being like, look at it. Now we're not allowed to go in. You'd be like,
well, you know, a lot of people with near-death experiences say that, like, they don't want to come back because they're seeing all of this glory and all of this awesomeness. And, you know, somebody walks up, it's usually a loved one, and they're like, guess what? Not your time. Get your ass back down there. And they're like, no, I'm good. They don't have a choice in the matter. But then, you know, some of them would talk about being depressive afterwards, you know, because, well, they no longer feared dying, but they were, you know, some of them were in depressive episodes immediately following it because they had seen all of this and it was yanked away from them, they felt.
Right. Yeah. And then you almost kind of yearn for it, but depending on the belief system, you know, you can't force yourself into that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I think, you know, but that is a very good point when you bring up about the prophecy, because, you know, Lucifer was, you know, the light bearer and he was the most beautiful angel. And so, you know, it kind of goes like, I know this is an immature metaphor, or analogy, but it's kind of like, just because you hook up with the hottest chick doesn't mean that it's going to be a great time. That they could be batshit crazy, you know, and you're like, but she's so hot.
I have a friend, I'm like, just let me, I don't even want to talk to her. You just bring her into where I am and let me see her from across the room, and I will tell you if she's crazy or not. Like, my crazy detector is usually pretty good. And he likes them hot and he likes them batshit crazy. And I'm tired of dealing with it as his friend on the back end.
No longer being your wing girl. That's it. I'm over it. Yeah.
I'm like, just roll your asses by me. I don't even need to talk to them.
Right. So to get into the story, into the intro mode of it, so like Dante was a poet, and this is written in what, 14th century or the early 1300s.
Yeah, the early 1300s.
Right. And so he's like, he finds himself waking up in these woods, and he starts journeying through the woods, and he sees this big mountain, and he's trying to climb the mountain, and then like these, I can't remember. So everybody, this is unpolished. A lot of this is on memory. I will switch over to reading about the different levels because I don't have enough memory to retain that right now. I thought I knew it because I've done this show, I think back in 2023, and I had it down pretty hard. But I didn't. I forgot how much detail is involved in it. So a lot of detail is going to get skipped over. So I suggest y'all just check it out and read it yourselves, or audio book it. But so like, I think it's like a panther and a wolf and something, and no matter how much he keeps trying to climb this mountain, and the top of the mountain represents heaven, and he just can't get up. He keeps sliding back down, blah blah blah. And then these guardians show up, and they're like, no dude, you're not allowed. And this dude named Virgil shows up. Now, Virgil in real life was another poet that came before Dante, and he was like Dante's superstar, so he incorporated him into the story, but so he was a guide given to Dante by in real life. Dante had a ex, either girlfriend or wife, I don't remember what it is, named Beatrice, and she actually, in the book, she summons Virgil to help Dante through his quest.
Mm-hmm.
And not to sidetrack, but this is all part of the Divine Comedy. So the Divine Comedy was a set of poems that Dante actually wrote, and they go through, first is hell, then purgatory, then heaven. So there's 3 different books that you can, and it's his journey through the afterworld. So Virgil leads him out to these big gates, right? And there's this long sign on it, but what we take into modern account is how does it go exactly? All that enter here.
At the gates.
Yeah. How does it freaking go?
What is it? It's lose all hope, you who enter here, or something like that.
Yeah. It's
abandon all hope, ye who enter.
Abandon all hope. There you go. Got it. See. So they go through the gates. They're not even in hell yet, right? And all these people are like running around, and they're getting like stung by bees and wasps and like flying insects and shit.
They're having a good old time.
Yeah, and they're just like running around in chaos, and Dante's like, yo, what the fuck, blah blah. So Virgil leads him to a river. I think it's called the Accolades. Let me see if I got that right. I don't want to. I do not want to spread misinformation as much as possible.
Acheron.
Acheron. Yeah, there you go. See, Accolades, Acheron.
Very close.
So, yeah, I was getting there. And then once they cross over that, then they get into what we were just talking about. Those are the people that they just either weren't believers of God, or they weren't necessarily bad people. But
so they were in limbo, right?
Limbo, right?
So the inhabitants of limbo are philosophers, poets, the unbaptized souls, and people who are virtuous but don't believe in Christianity. So like the pagans and the like the Romans.
Yeah.
And there's no physical pain.
Everybody that was back in.
And the punishment, the
You're
punishment in limbo or purgatory, whatever you want to call it, is there's no physical pain, but very much like the movie quote that I had, you're just kind of separated. It's an eternal separation from God. That's what limbo is described as there in Dante's.
Yeah. In Dante's world.
Dante's world.
Oh, shit. Let me open this up again. Okay, so this is supposed to there's a bunch of details. It's supposed to take place during Good Friday, and there's a bunch of stuff like that. So, but if you want to get into that more, read it yourself. Damn it, because
it's 3 days on the calendar currently, so you got the time in there. Just Just read Dante's.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, then we get into
So the second circle of hell, because they're circles, right?
yeah.
So the first
There's
circle of
9
hell
circles.
is limbo, right? The one we just
Right.
talked about. The second circle
Yeah.
is lust.
Yeah. And think of this like the map to this spot is think of it like a tornado. Like it's a or a funnel.
It gets
You
smaller.
know, it's wide at the top and it gets smaller.
It's like an upside down tiered cake.
I don't know what a tiered cake is.
Like a wedding.
Okay, like a wedding cake. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is a tiered cake, Monica?
A wedding cake, Joe. It's a wedding cake.
Oh yeah, okay. So lust, right? Let me just do a little review. Isn't that the one with the winds?
Yeah, so so the inhabitants of lust, the second circle of hell, are those that are ruled by sexual desire. So you're thinking like Helen of Troy, Cleopatra, and the punishment in the second
Joe
circle
Breezy
is a lot of people are going to be in that second circle.
Yeah.
I can tell you. The punishment is being blown about by an endless, violent storm.
Right. Yeah. It's like wind and rain. Trying to pull it up, but
I mean, as we get into the layers, let me tell you, like limbo and lust don't sound so bad as we get further into the circles. Yeah.
Yeah. But see, but what's intriguing about it also is that the way he visualized it or designed this map is the reason why it's wider at the top and then it gets tighter is because it's more masses are guilty of these heresies or whatever, and less people are guilty of the darker things.
And it also gets in like the upper circles are meant to be like they're still sins, but they're not as harsh of sins. Like you're still getting in trouble for it. But as you get down into what they consider like more severe sins, like true, like oh my gosh, like that's bad. I guess I figure fewer people are going to be going down those rabbit holes and But I don't know. Like, I don't know. Because the world's a pretty effed up place right now. So I imagine all the circles.
Well, yeah. I mean, no, I'm not. Yeah, yeah, totally. But it's kind of like the analogy of, you got more people going to strip clubs than you got serial killers. You know what I mean?
That we know of.
Like, that we know of. Dude, we ought to do that one on the Garth Brooks thing. That would be a good one.
Garth Brooks serial killer theory. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
I mean,
awesome.
we could probably, that's such a stretch. I don't think Garth Brooks is a serial killer.
I don't know, dude.
That for a lot of people, you could do that for a lot of artists if you take a look, because there is no major city that isn't lacking in violent crime like that.
Tis true, but that dude Tom Segura has got a lot on it. But I digress. So they're just like plagued by like the winds and rains, and they're just, I think that if I remember correctly, they're like damned to just like walk in circles in it. Like,
it doesn't say that, it just says that they're blown about. So I imagine that you don't find a lot of purchase, like you're on the outer edges of a tornado, let's say. Right, so you're getting blown this way and that way, like you're not at rest.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can dig it.
That's what I think.
So, no, and a lot of all of it is. Sorry, I've been having stomach problems all day. But a lot of it is interpretive and but also still relative to what we consider as you know, horrors. You know what I mean? So anyway, they keep rolling, right? And um, you get into the third circle, which is gluttony, right? And I forget what they do. Oh,
So
that's where the rain comes from. Yeah,
yeah,
the
there's
foul,
definitely
icy
rain on that one.
rain, ceaseless foul and icy rain,
Yeah, so they lie
and
in vile slush pelted by cold, filthy rain. And the guardian of the third
yeah,
was Cerberus. So that's the first time that Cerberus comes into play in this one.
that's the three-headed dude, right?
Yeah, he's well, I mean, it depends on what religion you're talking about. He's at the gates of hell guarding the entrance. And in this one, he's in the third circle, kind of overseeing everything.
Right, yeah. That sounds about right. Because now we're getting into
More
not
serious.
just the non-offenders, but non-believers, I guess you could
Right.
say.
So the gluttony
So,
are overindulgent eaters and drinkers. So all of the
oh wait,
alcoholics, all of the food, like people that are addicted to food,
right.
addiction, I think.
Yeah, addiction. Period. Yeah, I would. Yeah, gluttony is anything.
Yeah.
I would think that would cover so many things. I
Yeah.
mean, dude, you you drink a 12-pack of Dr. Pepper a day, you're kind of gluttonous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's overindulging and name your vice.
But I forgot about it. Cerberus, and I'm just like trying to remember. Isn't that the in Greek mythology? Isn't that three-headed dog?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, versus the
That Hercules.
That Hercules, yes, needs to.
Yeah.
I think it was
Okay. I'm pretty sure because Hercules did the Cerberus and the Hydra, right? The 9-headed. But anyway,
I get him and Jason
yes.
confused.
Yeah.
Into my stories, I get Jason and the Argonauts, and then I get Hercules like jumbled up in there.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. No, I used to know it really well, and
I did too when I
I
was
was fascinated.
I used to know Egyptian mythology and all the gods, all the pantheon.
Yeah. And I think one of them is going to play a role here. I think that it would be Roman, I would believe, because Pluto is going to be in here later on. Mm-hmm. So I think that's when they get to the what now?
I think he's in the next one.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
Is the guardian.
I'm glad you did your homework because I'm glad you did it because I was like, I got this, and then I was sick as hell all day, just laying in bed. I was like, I'm not moving. I got
it. I swear, if I wasn't alone in the house, I would have thought somebody roofied me. I mean, just out of nowhere, I got super sick and like tired, like I have not been tired in a long time, and it was like I was like drugged. I don't know what the heck happened. Like in the middle of the day,
someone slipped you a Valium.
I was me and my 13-year-old who's just sitting in the living room playing video games. He's on. I'm gonna have to go check my vitamins now. Make sure because I go check my pills like an old person and make sure somebody isn't trying to murder me.
That's hilarious.
I'm wearing a moo and I got my vitamins.
Find out Chris slipped you a Blue Chew in there somewhere.
My first husband did that to me. Like, I'm not kidding. I went to the ER and they were like, you've got barbiturates. They go, you've got barbiturates in your system. And I was like, I don't know what that is. Because I was like 25. And they're like downers, like
Right.
like,
Yeah.
Suppressants. And I was like,
legal heroin is what it is.
and then they start telling me, if you have a problem, you can. And I was like, talking to me like I'm a drug addict. I was like, if I took a barbiturate knowingly, I wouldn't come here trying to figure out why I fall down when I stand up.
Yeah. No, I did that too. I had this.
I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, I did that too one time. I because my blood pressure went to like hypertension 2 or something, and I had a nonstop nosebleed for like 4 or 5 hours. It ended up lasting about 12, but I went to the ER and they're like, "You sure you haven't been doing any cocaine?" And I was like, "If I had, I wouldn't be here because I'd know exactly why I got a nosebleed."
No shit. Yeah, oh God, that pissed me off. And they go, well, did anybody else have access to your drinks? And stupid me, knowing the kind of man I was married to, was like, well, my husband gave me my orange juice this morning, but surely he wouldn't do that. No, he fucking did that. And then he stood by and watched me like falling all over the place all day, freaking out, thinking I have a freaking brain tumor or something. And I finally had to drive myself, by the way, to the ER because he didn't give a shit if I'd lived or died. And the doctor's like, if you have a drug problem. And I was like, if I knew I took that, I sure as shit wouldn't be sitting here.
Right. Oh, shit. But, okay, so just scanning over this, in the gluttony spot, he actually meets Pope Boniface the 8th, and in real life he exiled Dante from the city in 1302 before the poem was written. So he's adding in real cats that pissed him off.
He's flipping the bird to the old Pope. Is what he's doing. Right. Let me tell you, the popes back in the day were a corrupt bunch of mofos.
Oh, they were, dude, they made the Sopranos look like angels.
Right.
But that also goes back, not to address it, but I believe in the limbo stage, he like met all of his favorite philosophers and poets and
it's where like artists were like philosophers, and like limbo isn't so bad. You're just shunned by God. It's just like hell, light hell, like
yeah it's the
diet hell.
Yeah. What was those little powdered drinks in the 80s?
Crystal Light.
Crystal Light. Oh yeah, there you go.
So so the fourth circle of hell, obviously greed. It's inhabited by hoarders and squanderers. I think a lot of people don't consider squandering a form of greed, but apparently it is. And the punishment in the fourth circle was you had to push great weights against each other, so you never gained any ground, right?
Right. But it was like a jousting contest type of shit.
The guardian for the fourth circle is Plutus.
That's Plutus. Yeah. But they were like, so I'm looking at one of the things. They were basically like, it was like two sides of a mosh pit, and they're rolling back and forth and jousting each other. And half of the party shouts, "Why do you hoard?" and the other shouts, "Why do you waste?" So so they're basically like two sides of the same coin. They're just not they're not allowed to gain any traction on each other in any way because they're part of the same problem. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the way I take it. Yeah. Because it says it's the antagonism of being hoarding and squandering. The contrast between the two groups lead. Yeah.
So there's also a theme, right? There's a theme for each one of these. And the one for this one is that obsession with material wealth corrupts the soul.
Right, yeah. If you hold money over MOE, money over everything, yeah. Then yeah. And then squandering would be if you got a whole loaf of bread and you see somebody starving and you're not going to break them off 2 slices, then
Well,
you're being a
it's
piece
not
of
breaking
shit.
off 2 slices, but not eating it either.
Right, yeah. And just throwing it away. Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Exactly. So that brings us to number 5. And that's the River Styx.
Are you sure it's the River Styx and not? Oh yeah, it is the River Styx.
Yeah, that's Wrath.
That's right.
5 is Wrath.
Wrath.
And yeah, see, now if I remember correctly, I think it's right before 5. They run into this cat, and he's like, well, maybe that was the dog dude. But at some point, they run into this cat, and he's like judging whether or not you should be there. And Virgil, Virgil's like, shut the fuck up, bro. Like, you're still alive. Don't get yourself judged, because then you're gonna get stuck here. Because then, so they kind of skim through it, because Virgil's already been dead. So he's like, gives his subway token, to get through this whole thing.
Okay. So the inhabitants of Wrath, the 5th circle, are the wrathful and the sullen, and according to the Ref, Connecticut.
Yeah.
If you know the movie The Ref, Connecticut is the 5th circle of hell.
Mm-hmm. And they're like, and it's a bunch of people like fighting and drown. Like, you fight, and if you lose, the way I remember it, if you fight, because in the river there's all these people and they're fighting each other. If you fight and lose, you end up sinking to the bottom until you rejuvenate, I guess, or whatever, and then you get to float back up to the top to fight again.
See, I read that. Okay, so the wrathful people are the ones fighting on the top of the river endlessly, right? Okay. And the sullen people are the ones that are trapped just below the water.
Right. Okay.
Like just below the water, and they're choked by their own anger. That's why they're below the water. They're sullen and stuck there.
Yeah. No, you're right, because what I'm reading, it's the active hatreds rend and snarl at one another at the bottom, and the sullen hatreds gurgling out and unable even to express themselves for the rage that chokes them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in other words, quit being assholes to each other, and
so
you might get a breath of air.
Yeah. Destructive rage and repressed bitterness consumes the soul, which is true. You got to let that shit go. Let it go.
Yeah, let it fly. Because it will. It
kick some grass over that shit and walk away.
Yep. And anybody who out there, if you suffer from anger management and stuff like that, and holding grudges, dude, it'll literally drag you fucking down to the bottom. To
Connecticut.
Like,
the 5th circle of hell. I love that movie. I watch it every Christmas. I love Dennis Leary. Connecticut is the 5th circle of hell.
Yeah, dude, Dennis Leary is a shit. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if he could even exist in the world today.
Him and
like
Dice.
He did back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dice, yeah.
I love the song I'm an Asshole too.
Oh, yeah. I drive really slow in the ultra fast lane while people behind me are going insane. I'm an asshole.
Asshole. Yeah, so the 6th circle of hell is heresy.
Yeah.
Right. And the inhabitants of the sixth circle, obviously, those who denied the soul's immortality or opposed the church's doctrines.
Right. And back then, that was a really big thing. Like, when the church was as strong as it was, and Dante's Italian, so it's the I guess the hierarchy of it was a very fearful thing. Like, you could get accused of heresy or speaking against the church or anything like
A woman
that.
can
Like,
read.
yeah,
Heresy!
exactly.
She's a witch.
Heretic. She's a witch. Yeah, no shit. Yeah. So to think about where the author is coming from, it's not a light sentence to go against
No.
the church and to be
We're getting
to be a
pretty far
heretic.
down there. Like, we're more than halfway through the circle, so it's pretty serious sin in the sixth circle because there's only 9 of them.
Right. Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
punishment
so
in the sixth circle is being trapped in burning tombs for eternity. It sounds
yeah,
like
there's this. Yeah, there's like a bunch of graves basically, and they're like just constantly on fire.
I mean, sounds like a good time, and the guardians of the sixth circle are fallen angels and furies.
Yeah, the Furies, right. And it's actually a city. It's called the City of Dis. Quit dissing me, bro. But
That's where all the diss tracks come from.
yeah, that's where all the diss tracks come from. But yeah, he meets a couple of cats down there. Let me see if I can find the names.
And Donnie Cho says it sounds like the sixth circle of heck has got a seat being warmed up just for him.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a couple of people there, dude.
Yeah, because there was a dude that he meets down there. I hate to sound like it, but Guido Cavalcanti.
What?
Yeah, it was like his friend and fellow homeboy.
Guido Cala somebody?
Yeah, he died in 1264 and then was condemned for heresy after he died in 1283.
Okay.
So yeah, so the church basically.
That's some shit.
Yeah, 20 years after you're
already dead and spending your life wherever you're spending it, and some asshole comes along, it's like, you know what? Fuck you. You're going farther down the hole. Yeah.
That's it. You're no longer going into heaven. 20 years later, you better get your ass back down to the sixth circle.
That is some shit.
That's
enjoying your afterlife. Can you imagine if he was in heaven and some dick down on earth is like, you know what?
Just pulls you back. Yeah, no, I'm just fucking. But that, but what I love about this whole thing is like I was saying earlier, looking back on the way that people saw shit and thought about it, there's a lot of reflection in it. Like, to even be able to think that, oh yeah, you were a saint or a good dude, and then 100 years later, someone or an evil person, right, in the eyes of the church, and then to be forgiven, or vice versa, it's like, dude, that's a fucked up concept. You know what I mean? Like, that man that's still living has any kind of
sway on somebody's freaking
sway.
Soul moved on. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's bullshit. I would.
Yeah.
That.
So in this one,
my attorney, that is some bullshit.
Right. Yeah.
Except there's no attorney.
Is it this one or then? Right. Bullshit. No.
They're all down in the 5th or 6th circle.
I know ones that are. They just don't know yet. But yeah, so is this the one where it gets into the three
yeah, the 7th circle?
the 3 rings in the 7th circle. So now we go into subdivisions.
Yeah. So yeah, the 7th circle, which is violence, is subdivided into 3 rings. The first is violence against others, like murder.
Yeah, neighbors. Yeah, violence against neighbors, self, and
yeah. Well, the first one is murders against others. The punishment for that is boiled in a river of blood. Again, sounds like a party.
Right.
The second one is violence against yourself, which is,
like
self-immolating.
Yeah. Or self-harm.
Yeah, so
punishment for that is they get turned into these twisted trees, and like they get torn apart and eaten by harpies, and they have to regrow. Like, I forgot exactly how it goes, but there's one where he's talking about watching a dude that turns into a bush, and then I said bush, and then he gets like broken down to the stalk or whatever, and then he has to watch him like regrow, and then just for it to happen over and over again.
And then the third one is violence against God, nature, art. So that's the blasphemers, the sodomites, the something I can't read. And the punishment for that is you're in a burning desert with fire raining from the sky. Yeah,
the raining fire. Right.
Yeah.
So now we're getting into like all the different aspects of what you would think as what we know about hell, or our vision of it. Now we're getting into the fire and brimstone and the darkness, and because whenever you think about whenever you think about hell, you're not thinking about like wind. Like a bunch of wind blowing everybody around.
You're just getting tossed around by a storm. Welcome to hell.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, if that's all I got, I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a hurricane. Shit.
I heard there was a handbasket somewhere here for me. I get the Toto treatment. Should be a handbasket here.
Yeah, but I do know in the one with the what is it, the act ring 3, he does meet up with a dude that he knew in real life who was a homosexual, right? And that dude and him have like a long talk in the book. I forget exactly how it goes, but like he's like, dude, like I should have never done, what I did, and that's kind of fucked up. Like, oh yeah, his name was Priskin Francisco de Arcoso, and another bishop. They were sodomites.
So say it isn't so. No.
Yeah. But I do remember that.
I mean, let's be real. It's just them throwing gay people into the circle. It's
right.
It's bullshit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're being punished for loving somebody.
Sorry, you're born that way. It sucks. You can take it up with God in your next cycle.
Yeah, no shit. All right, so I do remember that part. Check it out in the book. It actually goes into it pretty deep. Literally. No, see,
There's
okay,
so many in the 8th circle. So many in the 8th circle.
Yeah, there's like 10 in the 8th circle. We won't.
There's 10 ditches essentially, or trenches.
10
however you want to
ditches.
call
There,
them.
yeah.
Yeah. Each for
Because
a
it's
type
like,
of fraudulent sin. So the 8th circle is fraud. The
right.
8th circle of hell is fraud.
And
And
they're called
first,
bogeys. Yeah.
the first ditch is for panderers and seducers. And their punishment is getting whipped by demons. And the second ditch is for flatterers. Apparently, that's where I'm going to be. I flirt and don't mean to.
Yeah,
I guess that's what that is, right?
Hey, nice shirt. Fuck.
Dang it. You're looking good today. So the punishment for flatterers is being immersed in excrement.
Yeah.
Listen, that's somebody's kink.
Total.
Right? So if that's your
total
kink,
shit show.
Real shit show.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's what Simoniac. I think that is, if I remember right, those are like the cats, and this is kind of fucking weird. If I remember it right, it's
I gotta Google
people that use like God and other positive things for shit like money.
Members of the clergy.
Yeah, members. Yeah, because like we said, the Catholic Church is a huge part of everybody's life at this point in time.
Oh, those who sold. Okay, so specifically in Dante's Inferno, the Simoniacs, okay, are those who sold church rolls or offices or used their positions in the church for personal monetary gain.
Value. Yep.
And what was their being buried headfirst in a baptismal font with their feet on fire? That's pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. They're fucking ostriches with their feet on fire.
Yeah, in a baptismal font. So, in the bowl of water.
And I'm surprised he didn't get, excommunicated for that.
No kidding. I mean, just writing this would pretty much be heresy back in that day.
Right, yeah. So and then we got the sorcerers is the next one. Yeah.
And false prophets.
And those are the dudes, which is really fucking creepy if you think about it. Like you could do a whole horror movie on it. But those are the dudes that their heads are twisted backwards.
Yeah, that's
right. So so they have to walk around like bump into each other and have no. But if you think about it, that's like no way to lead yourself. You're just lost. You know what I mean? Like,
and then there's the next one that will be pretty much all of DC. Corrupt politicians. Their punishment is being immersed in boiling pitch.
Number
6 is the worst kind of person that, God, these people just, they deserve a place there. Hypocrites.
The hypocrites. Yeah.
Hypocrites. And their punishment is they have
sliding
to wear
down
gilded leaded cloaks.
Yeah. And they can't get out of that. It's like it's not exactly the trench, but there's like if I remember right, they have the heavy ass lead cloaks or whatever, and they're trying to climb out, but they keep getting pulled to the next pit or the next trench. And if I remember right, I'm not really reading too much. I'm only reading.
I don't think I want to be in any of the other trenches. If my only burden to bear in that trench is a freaking lead cloak, I'm keeping my ass in that trench, because these other ones, there's people immersed in poop. There's other ones with their heads twisted backward. Some dude upside down in a font with his feet on fire. I'm good.
Yeah.
In the cloak trench.
Yep. Oh, and there's the dude. Well, I call him Caspius, but I forgot his actual name. It's like Sciapius or some shit. But he's the dude that speared Christ on the cross,
Oh,
and he,
oh
yeah,
God, what was
yeah, and
it?
he's like hooked to the ground on a cross, so all the leaded heavy motherfuckers keep walking all over him for eternity. He was like Pontius
Oh,
Pilate's
Longinus.
main dude.
Longinus. Well, there's the spear of Longinus, right? Longinus, however you say it. Longinus.
Yeah.
Spear of Destiny is the spear of Longinus.
Spear of
And I'm sure
Destiny,
I'm
yeah.
saying that wrong.
And not to switch gears, but there is it's a series of books called Caspius, and it's about the same cat. But in the book, he was cursed to wander the earth as
Oh, forever.
immortal forever. Yeah, and like he in the novels and shit, it's like it's kind of um campy. Like he ends up fighting Attila the Hun and Attila the Hun, and like the Red Baron and shit, and yeah, but he keeps getting killed over and over, and it's like his whole
Casca.
punishment.
It's Longinus. That's his
Casca.
first name. His first name was Casca.
Okay, see,
Longinus, yeah, because he's the one that killed Jesus. Yeah.
yeah. See,
And he's first to live forever, which
yeah.
sucks.
It's a really good series of book. My uncle turned me on to it in like third or fourth grade, and I had to read those things like crazy. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, we get to the next ditch, and that's thieves.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I think they should be a little bit lower, but okay. You know, liars and thieves can't stand.
Yeah. And their punishment is bitten by snakes and undergo a painful transformation. Into what? I don't know. I'm guessing Snake Man.
It says, what I'm reading, it says they're bitten by serpents in the jugular vein, burst into flames, and reformed into ashes like a phoenix.
Okay. Then they
and
rise
then and then it repeats. Johnny Cho says, for Monica and Joe, what's your favorite movie portrayal of hell? I'm not going to say heck because that just sounds ridiculous.
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser? Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, the Hellraiser universe, right? Not Hellraiser itself, because Hellraiser 2 goes deeper into hell. And
right, yeah.
I don't think it's an accurate portrayal, but it's an interesting look, and it's like a fever dream to me, like the fever dream version of hell. Like it's terrifying,
right?
But I think that is probably one dimension because it's all around pain and disfigurement. So I'm feeling like it's got to be one of these trenches or one of these layers. I don't think it's all of hell.
Gotcha. Yeah, like it's a neighborhood in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say honestly, I am torn between two of them, and one's pretty brief, and the other is just a total mind fuck, and that would be Constantine's version of hell in the movie Constantine, and
that was interesting.
1408. Like just to be stuck.
1408.
Well, I mean, just to be stuck in that repetitive, and like whenever he finally thinks that he's gotten out, and they're like, "Oh, the cops are there," blah blah blah, and he meets up with he's like comes to, and he's with his wife and daughter, and everything's good, and they're at the beach, and then fucking song kicks back on, and he's still in the hotel. You know, and he's still.
That sounds like American Horror Story Hotel, where they just. It's terrible. They can't leave the hotel. Which, I mean,
like
I
Hotel
guess really a
California
lot of
type
the
shit.
hauntings in the American Horror Story series are a type of hell, right? They're a type of purgatory, I suppose.
I haven't seen it, but yeah, I could dig it.
So Donnie's favorite portrayal of hell is The Good Place, which is interesting. It is interesting.
I've never seen it.
It's it's a TV show. It's really good.
It's a good place. Awesome.
Yeah, great place. So what's the next one?
Okay, so
Thieves or no?
we
Fraudulent
did
counselors. The
yeah,
eighth ditch
counselors.
in the eighth circle of hell is fraudulent counselors.
Yeah. And
they
see,
get
that's why
Huh?
go ahead with the punishment.
Oh, their punishment is engulfed in individual flames.
Okay. See, so that part right there is also a big reason why I give big disclaimers on, like, when I've talked about religion or God or anything like that, or how I believe. I'm very big on disclaiming, do not take my fucking word for it. Like, figure it out on your own. This is just how I
It's
fucking
my
believe.
opinion and my view, but yeah.
Right.
I don't
Because
ever
I don't
want
want to
somebody to
be,
just take my word for anything. Go figure it out. Yeah, form your own opinion.
well, yeah, but especially when it comes to that, because I don't want to be a false prophet, so to speak, or a false, a false counselor. Right. Yeah. Because it's just opinion. I'm not telling you this is what it is, or I can tell you what books say, and I can tell you what I've read it and how I interpret it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's true. So for people who, I don't consider myself a content provider or anything like that, but for people who preach certain things, yeah, you gotta watch your shit, because if you're preaching the wrong shit, you might end up in the eighth trench.
The eighth ditch of hell. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we're moving right along. And we'll sum these up pretty quick because we still got a whole little subject to bullshit about for about 15 minutes. Oh, there is the ninth one. That's Discord.
Sowers of Discord.
Yeah, not the internet site. Let's see, what the fuck. Religious schisms and discords.
Their punishment is being mutilated and dismembered repeatedly.
Okay, gotcha. So,
yeah,
a lot of these things have the same theme. It's being torn down completely, rebuilt, and then torn down once again.
And then the 10th ditch in the 8th circle is for falsifiers, and this includes alchemists, impersonators. You get the gist. And their punishment is to be afflicted with disease and madness.
Yeah.
Sounds like some people on Earth.
Yeah, I know. We ain't even got to go there. Yeah, to see that shit. And then we got.
And then the 9th circle.
The 9th, which is the final and foremost. So if I remember the 9th correctly, I'm not even going to read it right now. It's they're walking like on a frozen lake and shit, and there's like a bunch of heads sticking out of the lake and frozen, and there's a bunch of people in it, like what's his fucking name? Bunch of old school Bible cats, like Nimrod.
So there's
and shit
Cain.
like that.
So they're the original sinners, right? So there's Cana. So they're betrayers of kin, and they're the ones that get frozen up to the neck. And then there's Antenora, and they're betrayers of country, and they get a little farther into the ice, right? They're frozen in the ice a little farther. And then there's Ptolemea. They're betrayers of guests, and they lie supine in the ice. and then there's Judica, betrayers of benefactor,
Judica.
and they are completely encased and frozen in ice. And then Satan is actually down in that layer as well.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he's fully encased in ice, and he's chewing on Judas, Brutus, and Cassius.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. See, that's how I envision it. Like it's like this big fucking pond, and then you got it. It just gets worse and worse and worse on how the betrayers go, and then in the very center of it, which is a very adverse kind of a thought, because when you think of the devil, you're thinking of him, he's sitting around fire and like, but it's cold
Because
because
yeah,
right, because if you literally think about it, it's the furthest away from the light of God and the warmth of God. So yeah, it would make sense to be frozen completely off, from the creator. You know what I mean?
right.
So, but yeah, and he's like, I think if I remember right, he's like flapping his wings, but they barely fucking move because it's so frozen. Like, so
Yeah,
it's
he's
like,
waist deep in the ice. Yeah, he's frozen up to
yeah,
his waist, and he's just chewing on the three greatest traitors of all time,
right.
apparently. Like I
At
said,
the
Judas,
time.
Brutus, and Cassius, and then yeah, at the time, and then Dante and Virgil actually escape by crawling down Satan's hairy body, and they pop out Easter morning, like under the stars,
Yeah.
back in the real
Yeah.
world.
Oh, don't they pop out in, they don't pop out in the real world yet. Don't they pop out in purgatory? Because that's what leads them to purgatory, and then they go through
Right
purgatory and
back up to
then
the top,
into
limbo.
heaven. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, not into limbo, and into, so purgatory is where you would, it's not heaven, it's not hell, it's
In
where
between.
you have to, it's your prison cell. This is where you got to do your time and
Mhm.
repent and do enough time until uh until your time's due, and then you
It's
get
where you
allowed into heaven.
it's where you go to
And
do all your Hail Marys and your Our Fathers and
exactly,
your
exactly.
rosaries.
Yep, yep, yep. And then that goes into the rest of the um, Divine Comedy. So for anybody out there, yeah, check it out. Um, it's a really good read. All three of those books are really dope, and yeah, it's related to the times that it was written, and it makes a lot more sense. And also um, use it as um, how would you call it? Fuck. Um, how the punishments fit the crimes. You know what I'm saying? Like the analogies of it, because it makes a lot more sense like that, which I think is pretty fucking cool, especially for how old it is. Huh. So yeah, that concludes Dante's Inferno. I didn't know it was going to take this long, but yeah.
Sweet.
So for anybody listening, we're gonna do a quick 10-minute thing on the new movie Sinners. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want spoilers, go ahead and log off now. And after you watch it, come back in. But I'm not going to do too much on it. I promised Monica that I was going to watch it a couple more times, and I haven't had the chance. So I'm just going to go off a few of the pieces I thought about it. And I'm doing the negative part because one of my gigs is that if you got a campy fucking horror movie or a B-rated horror movie or something that doesn't have a big budget, then I laugh inaccuracies off, and I don't let them bother me. But if you're doing it hardcore, and which this movie is. I mean, they did a fucking badass job. Like, I haven't seen a good horror movie like this in a long, long time. And but since it was so well done, some of the things kind of like irked me, you know. But first and foremost, let's hear your take on it,
My take
Monica.
on it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've been talking about it since because I saw it opening weekend, because I've been waiting for this movie to come out forever. I've known about it forever. And it looked
Right.
good in the trailers, and I was just so excited. But it didn't disappoint. I think it's a great horror movie. It's a great vampire movie. I think it's very interesting. There's a lot of nuances to it that you really need to be paying attention to. And I think that it's interesting that it brings like the African American experience and the Irish experience together. And
This is true.
there are similarities in history that, I mean, a lot of people are probably, but it's true. Like of course, we know that in America there was slavery, obviously, forced slavery, but a lot of people don't necessarily know that the Irish were also forced slaves. Like, they were treated like second-class citizens for a long time too. And the vampire there is old because he talks about how, you know, when he's cornering one of the main characters and he starts praying out loud.
Yeah.
And the vampire starts praying with him. He starts reciting, I think it was Our Father, I can't remember. And he says, those words won't do you any good. He goes, I remember, he goes, and they're not your words anyway. They're not your religion. I remember when they came and took away my religion and forced me to say those words. He goes, I still say them because they comfort me, but they're not mine. So that tells you how old this man or this vampire is, that, you know, that's when the Christians came and started taking away the pagan rituals, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You're talking early BC, you know, or early AD.
Yeah. I mean, he's like in the 500s probably. Like the
if you say
500s, he's about 1,500 years old, I would guess.
Yeah. I was gonna say, because if he was there when it was written, then that means he was there during the time of Christ, which is over 2,000 years old.
Well, I don't know that he was there while it was written, because he didn't really say that, but he was talking about the Christians coming and trying, like, taking the pagans and their gods away and shoving Christianity down their throat.
Oh, okay. So he's around when Dante was writing that thing.
Yeah. So he was, you know, he's about 1,500 years old at that point, roughly.
Got it. See, I didn't pay attention to that part, and I should have. That's why I wanted to double up on the review.
And I just, it's so well written, in my opinion. Of course, there's plot holes. There's no movie that doesn't have them. And the acting is great. I thought that Michael B. Jordan did an excellent job portraying two different characters. I thought he did. I don't know how Breezy feels about that. We haven't talked about it yet.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. 100.
Because you can tell Smoke from Stack.
Yeah.
And it's just a good one. And the storytelling in it, because it's not just straight, I mean, it is, you know, straight cinema, but there's also a narrator kind of giving you like a story. And at one point, one of the main characters, who's a blues singer, starts singing, and they talk about how in some ancient cultures, song was your bridge and your connection to your ancestors. And as he's singing, the juke joint walls melt away, and everybody who's present in the juke joint, their ancestors are dancing around them. And you've got African, you've got, and it's not just like ancestors in the past, it shows future generations as well. So it shows old tribal dancing along with modern day, like girls twerking. And it shows, because there are a couple of people that are helping them out that are Chinese immigrants, and it shows their ancestors doing the fan dance. And I just thought that it's very powerful. It's a very powerful thing, I think. I don't wonder, you know, because the vampire comes because he says that this singer's music called him and drew him. And I think that he's trying to connect to his ancestors by getting in there and being a part of this music. He wants him to be that bridge for his ancestors, so he can get back to his ancestors and bridge them that way. And probably his wife too, because if you notice, brother was wearing a wedding ring and she was nowhere around. And I'm thinking the Indians caught on, because in the very beginning scenes,
the Indians
chased by Comanche or Choctaw, I can't remember who, but they chase him literally up and into this house. And these white supremacists basically tell him to take a hike, and they look around and the sun's going down. The guy's behind him's like, dude,
we gotta need to bounce, bro.
And he sees, that they're, racist white people, and he's like, y'all have a good time then. And he just packs up and leaves them. So I'm thinking that the vampire got found out on the res, and they probably got his wife. Right. So maybe he's trying to connect it, but you don't know. But also in the opening credits, if you pause, like now that it's available on DVD, or not DVD, but digitally.
On digital, yeah.
Yeah, you can pause it and you can read the newspaper clippings, and it talks about an Irish steamer ship that was a ghost ship, essentially. Like people had heard partying on the ship in the bay the night before, but when it came to dock, there was nobody on board. Like
the Nosferatu type thing.
Yeah. But they were partying the night before, just like in the movie when they're all partying.
Right.
So
I didn't notice that. Yeah, I missed that. Yeah. Yeah, no, and yeah, that you're bringing a lot to light. Like, so now I really got to go dive back into it, because my qualms about it were more effects wise, not story wise, because I thought the story was solid. I dug the shit out of it.
It had so many, like it can go in so many different directions, like with spin-offs and sequels and sister movies, because there's so much meat on that bone. There is so much in the storytelling of that there's hints to it that you could do what's his name's whole lineage, like leading up to making him a vampire, because he's 1500 friggin' years old. He's got a lot of history in his bones. And then the two that escape at the end, they had a whole life living as vampires.
And then you meet the dude way later. It's kind of like you could go Lestat, past, present, and future, with that type of thing.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. On that level, I 100% dig the shit out of it. A couple of my qualms, and like I said, mine are mostly special effects, or like I was telling you last night, the whole thing about being let into the building, like, okay, a house, I dig it. A building or an establishment, you don't need an invite, because it's not a home. It's just not vampire.
They got over that by having a bouncer at the door, like only certain people were allowed to come in. It's not a public establishment where you're not getting stopped at the door.
Maybe, but that means
remember at the bar, they couldn't come in the bar. He asked the guy, these people are out front and they want to see is okay if they come in.
Right, but okay, what breaks that one down is when Stack is in the room and he gets unalived by the vampire chick. He can't get out of the room because he's not invited out of a room. And there's no so there's so you mean all I'd have to do to keep a vampire out is get him in a closet and shut the door and just be like, nah, you're not allowed. And then he has to spend eternity there. Like,
seems like it. I mean, according to that folklore.
Right. I'll give you that. Another one that got my goat.
Huh?
Yeah. Another one that got my goat was the first chick that came in. Remember that she went out and it's interesting you're saying they were musicians, because the Irish ones are musicians too. But it's okay, every kill scene or vampire kill scene was extremely bloody. Like, like like whenever the dude goes to the house and she finds her husband, and then she gets got. There's like freaking blood everywhere. That the one chick, that the first one that gets into the juke, um, she's got like the same dress on, no blood on it, but like whenever they give you the hint and show her back, she's got like and these aren't just like the two pinprick, fang
Mhm. Oh no,
vampire
this is like a
kills.
chunk. It's like a bite.
Yeah, yeah, it was like a chunk was taken out of her. And same with cornbread,
Well,
right? Like
okay, so I agree, and I thought the same thing. I was like, how come cornbread isn't? So they're trying to gain purchase, right, in the juke joints. So they're killing strategic people to get vampires inside, right?
right,
So let's say that they can control how much blood is let loose when they bite you, right? And when she
okay,
saw her husband on the floor, he knows they're pieces of shit, like clan members. So he lets her see him like that so she can be scared before he takes her. Because
well,
he doesn't,
yeah,
yeah, he thinks he doesn't care for the clan.
right. Well, that's a really good point that you make, is that because vampires in the lore, they also have uh a mental cloaking, you know what I mean? They can make themselves look
Oh, they
certain
have a
ways.
glamour, like a fairy
Right,
glamour.
right. So like they could literally, if you had blood all over your clothes, they could mentally, hide you from that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll take that. I won't kick it out of bed. That I didn't think about the mental aspect of it, and the hallucinate, or
Well, yeah, the
what
mass
would you call
hallucination, right? So it's
it?
the
Mass
glamour. They
hallucinate.
let you see what they want you to see, for sure. Um, but also, I mean, I just took it not so much as the glamour, more like they're trying to get in there. So they're not going to kill somebody in a very gory fashion and then send them on their way back in there. Ain't no way they're getting in there. So they're going to
Right, right,
be a little more strategic with his biting and the blood he lets loose.
right. Yeah. So he was doing some hardcore sucking on that giant mouth gaping hole. Yes, I slipped one in. But yeah, I won't go too much farther than that on it. I, I did have an issue with um, the whole you kill the main one, then the other ones that were made by him die, but then the ones that were made by, because then that chick should have died, whenever they killed the main dude, because he
Well,
was
okay, so
float.
it wasn't that they killed him and all of them died. It was as the sun came up. What happened is they feel the pain of the master vampire. So they were
Right,
stunned by the pain and the sun killed them. But Smoke and the girl were already gone. They were already hiding somewhere. So they felt the pain, but they didn't die because they weren't in
but
the
it
sun.
didn't. But it didn't undo him. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll dig it. Now, yeah, we'll retouch on this one because I think that um I think it was fucking awesome. Like
It
one
was
of the best. Yeah,
such a
and
good.
and by the way, like yeah, my kid watched it and he was just like, it's funny, dude. Like I didn't even have to be like, all right, hide your eyes. He's like,
I
like
told
he's
you.
not even yeah, he's not even ready for that
Yeah,
content.
I told you. There were some parts that Jen certainly does not want him viewing.
Yeah, no, she watched it with us, and like, because he's talking about, well, we got to go north and hit that button. Like my kid's like, heck, he's like munching popcorn. Fucking button. They don't even have computers.
Yep, that's right. That's exactly right. That's a mistake in the script. You caught it.
Exactly. Well, we've hit our minute our hour and a half mark, and I know you had a long day, and I have too. So we'll wrap it up.
Sounds good.
Are you going on BMR tomorrow?
Yep, I'll be on good old Rob show tomorrow night.
Right on, right on.
Same
You
bat
got any?
times, or I should say same Rob time, same Rob place.
Same Rob channel. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know if Tex is doing any more of his night owls?
He can't right now because I think he's still in that training period at work where he's got to go to bed pretty early because he's got to get up early. So that one was, I think it was random just because he didn't have work the next day.
Okay. Yeah, I hit him up, but I guess he was busy because,
I think he's out of town.
He didn't show up.
Yeah, he's out of town.
Right on. Do you have any ideas on next week's show or anything you want to spit out?
Hell no. I ain't got nothing.
I said spit out.
So
on my end, so if anyone in Central Texas tomorrow looking to party down at the gas station in Bastrop, Texas, look up www.texasgasstation.com. It's where they filmed the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's a horror merch, barbecue shop, and just an all-around cool place. But so the dude that played Malachi on the original Children of the Corn, he has a band, and he's going to be playing live music out there. The actor that was in The Greasy Strangler, Mark Togel, who was Marvin in The Toxic Avenger. He was the nerd before he turned into the big Toxic Avenger. He's in there. They did a collaboration movie with a couple other actors. So all the actors and actresses are going to be out there. They're doing signings and autographs. It's a free event. But at night, once night hits, we're going to be doing a screenplay for the new movie before it's released. And it's only $10 to watch the screenplay. And it's outdoor drive-in style kind of a thing. And so bring your lawn chairs and, your cooler of beer and come eat some barbecue, hang out with a bunch of horror freaking buffs and nerds and directors and producers and actors and actresses. And it's going to be a big freaking party is what it's going to be. So if any of y'all are interested in something like that, we'll be out there. I think it opens at 10 o'clock and it will be closing officially at 7, 8-ish. And then once sun sets, then the outdoor movie starts. So get your tickets or don't and just come hang out during the day and it's going to be a blast. So yeah, that's about all I got. And I'm going to come up with a good one for next Friday.
Heck yeah.
But I'm looking for a new job. So if I do get one, the speakeasy might change schedule depending on the hours of my new job.
Sure.
So we'll play it by ear. But you will be informed for all those who give a shit.
You notice.
Yeah. But anyway, it was a great show. I thought it was freaking awesome. And thank you, Monica, so much for having my back on that because, like I said, in my mind, I was like, oh, I got this, no problem. And then when I started re-looking at it, I was like, dude, there's so much detail. Shit. I don't have this. I don't have it at all. And that was like 30 minutes before we went live. So, I appreciate that.
Of course, you know I got your back.
Yeah,
I got
always.
you. I got you.
Yeah. All right, so everyone out there, y'all have a good night. One love. God bless. Keep searching for the truth because it's out there. Bye.
Bye.